Hello gang, I hope you're all well. I've been doing a lot of writing recently and that's my excuse. So I figured today I would combine the two things I'm supposed to be doing and write a bit while I'm answering questions about writing. I've got some, it's not even sponsored, I just go through like one of these a day, which probably isn't good for me. They're healthy. Cheers. Bitch! Alright, for starters, I don't know, this isn't really an announcement. I'm writing a novel. I'm working on a novel. So that's what a lot of my time has been going towards recently. And I can say that because it's just like, it's very early days. Don't get all excited or anything. So yeah, we're gonna answer some writing questions. It's so hot! When do you get ideas? This person is concerned that their question doesn't make sense, but I think it makes perfect sense. I get ideas normally in the period of time between like when I lay down to go to sleep and when I actually fall asleep. More so in the past than now, because it used to take me hours to fall asleep. So I would have a lot more thinking time naturally, but since I started Prozac this year, I'm out like a light. But yeah, I think it's just because it's like uninterrupted thinking time. But also, I don't know if they're actually good ideas. I might just think they're good ideas because I'm like half asleep and I think anything I think of is the greatest idea ever. Do you listen to any music during or before writing? I do. I love listening to music. It depends what kind of mood I'm in. Because sometimes I'll like actual like tunes. It also depends on the sort of scene I'm writing to. It's like what the mood of the scene is. But yeah, sometimes I'll listen to like kind of mellow tunes, and then I've got my more upbeat tunes, and then I like instrumental sometimes. I think sometimes I get like two in my head and then I start to get distracted by the words of the songs and then it freaks me out. So I just listen to instrumental. I think I literally just search like instrumental study music on Spotify and a bunch comes up. There's also this website, I forget what it's called, I'll link it below. But it's basically, it's a whole website full of like white noise sounds. So there's white noise, but then there's also like the thunderstorm or like these sort of morphing like sound waves. They're called something, I don't remember what they're called, but they're really good for concentrating because they're just sort of one like uniform sound and it's very consistent and like nice to just have in the background. Microsoft Word or nah? Ooh, it just got dark. I really like Microsoft Word. It's all I use. I know a lot of writing people use, it's called Scrivener, I think. And I don't actually know what Scrivener consists of or what you can do on it that you can't do on Microsoft Word, so maybe I'm missing out. But people seem to really like it and it works for them, which is great. But I know that if I were to use something like that, I would get distracted by the bells and whistles and end up not actually doing anything. It's like when you spend more time making a to-do list than you do actually doing things on the to-do list. Do you have special rituals when it comes to writing, or do you need special things around you when you write? Not really rituals per se. I like to make sure the house is clean, and I think it's just because like when I look around and the house is a bit messy, I'm like, well, that's another thing I have to do. It's like in high school, I worked at Goodwill, in case you didn't know, and if I would have a shift at like 2 in the afternoon, my whole morning would be spent thinking about the fact that I'm gonna have to go to work, and like I have only 4 hours until I have to go to work, only 3 hours until I have to go to work, and it would just be like wasted. It would be like being at work because I was just thinking about work. So when I'm writing, you know, I like to have all my chores like around me done so I can say, this is all I have to focus on right now. There's nothing else in the world that needs my attention currently besides this. But yeah, I don't really have any rituals. I don't have like a good luck pen or anything. I guess too, I can't decide if I write better in the morning or at night. Because when I start writing in the morning, I feel very productive and like I feel like I write better because of the fact that I feel productive. But at night, your head tends to be a bit more like, la la la, I'm just gonna write whatever I want. That's my song on my new EP. Do you believe it's ethically right or wrong to draw inspiration from those around you? Well, I guess that's sort of what being just a creative person in general is, isn't it? Just from making new things based on the experiences you have. I guess if we're talking like people specifically, I was asked a lot, like, can you base a character off of like someone you know? And I have very mixed feelings about this, because I personally wouldn't, just because I think it's weird. It's like getting a tattoo of your boyfriend's name. I have less reservations about maybe using a person as the foundation for a character and then building a new character from that person. That seems a bit less weird. I don't know. If it works for people, then it works for people. I wouldn't do it personally. Any tips for finding your own writing style / voice? I see this question get asked a lot, and the answer is always really unsatisfying. But I think it is just that you need to keep writing, and you need to practice and experiment. I think everyone's voice is sort of a mishmash of the writers they like and, you know, the things they read growing up. So I think everyone's voice sort of develops as a result of the things they expose themselves to. So yeah, just read a lot, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then develop your own style from that, I guess. How do you normally start writing? What drives you to do it? Well, I mean, recently I've been just like really excited to write. And I don't know if that's the sort of thing that comes in waves. I guess it is, because I've had periods where, you know, I feel like I have nothing to say. But recently I've been really like, I know exactly what needs to be done, you know, and I know where I need to go next. So that's kind of motivating. But no, I don't know. I've just been like, recently when I wake up, I've just been like, I'm really excited to write today. I just think it's fun. I guess it's like asking what motivates you to like do your hobby, you know? Because like if you have a hobby, you just do it because you enjoy doing it. But I'm lucky enough that my hobby is actually like what I'm doing now. So yeah. What's your favorite place to write? I don't freaking have one. It's so annoying. I love this tiny flat. I do. But there's nowhere to do anything. Like, most of the time, lately, I've been writing on this couch. But it just gets uncomfortable, and I've got all these pillows, and I try to stack them, and it never works. So then I'll sit at the kitchen table, but it's so uncomfortable, too. And then I'll, like, lay in bed. But I don't like working in bed, because I like to feel like I'm actually getting stuff done. And I don't feel like I'm getting stuff done when I'm in bed. So as of right now, nowhere. But we're moving into a new place in a couple months, and I've got an office. I've got my own office. I'm so excited. So I think that will soon be my favorite place to write. Thoughts on fake deep and metaphors becoming cliche so quickly on the internet? Any way I answer this question is going to sound shady, so I'm a bit hesitant. But there is this brand of poetry that I affectionately refer to as Tumblr poetry, that has been garnering a lot of attention recently, which I don't, you know, I'm not bitter. Like, I'm just kidding. I'm really not. Like, a lot of people like it, and honestly, I think maybe if Tumblr poetry caught me when I was, like, 14 or something, I'd be really into it too, which isn't saying that, like, it's immature or anything. I just think that was the sort of thing that I liked more when I was around that age. But, you know, if people are writing, and if people genuinely, like, derive joy from writing and, you know, from writing those things and from sharing those things and from reading those things, then I don't have a problem with it. What I will say is that if one more person says that you've got constellations in your eyes and your veins are like galaxies, and, like, I will scream. I will scream. Have you ever used a thesaurus when writing something? This is interesting because the advice comes in, like, 2 parts, I think. So, if I was talking to someone who was, like, just starting writing or was a bit younger, I would say generally probably avoid doing that. Because a lot of times it is so obvious when someone's done it, and a word just seems so out of place, and especially if, you know, the rest of the words are nothing like that word, it's just very jarring and it makes no sense. However, not even saying that I'm like particularly experienced or anything, but I think there is a place for a thesaurus to be used when it's sort of just useful for putting words back to the front of your head, because I feel like sometimes you can know what you want to say but the word just isn't coming, and I think it can be super useful for that. I would not recommend using a thesaurus and using a word that you had never used or seen before, because it's obvious when it's used incorrectly. But if it's used as just a way to like remind yourself of what words exist, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. How do you find original and unique ideas and transform them into deep words and sentences that connect? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Ooh, what's your editing process? Do you edit as you write or edit after? I've been editing in such a weird way recently. I don't know if it's weird, but it works really well for me. And since I've mostly been writing like prosy things, then this is about that. But you could totally do it for poetry too, I think. But what I do is if I'm writing like a chapter, I'll do the whole first pass of a chapter, which is basically just the like one, and it's bad, it's not good, but it's like the bare bones of what you're trying to say. So then once I've got that all down, I will crop it, I guess, to fit half of the screen, and then I'll open a whole nother Word document and put that on the other half of the screen. And then I'll just rewrite it, like adding things or taking things out and making things better. Because I find that if I'm editing in the same document, I get really lazy, so I like to just start clean and just rewrite it. And normally I'll end up rewriting a chapter like 4 or 5 times. Which sentences do you draw from the most for inspiration? Well, I guess if I'm looking for inspiration for something, it would have to do with what specifically I'm looking for inspiration for. But when I find, anyways, when I'm describing scenes or places, the first thing I think of is always smell. I don't know why. When someone like tells me something smells a certain way, I'm instantly like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know. I think I just have a super nose. The lighting's all different now because the memory card ran out. But I was done anyways, so we're just gonna end it. Thank you guys for watching. I am going to get back to writing. And before you ask, no, I can't tell you anything about it. Why would you want me to? You know? Don't want to spoil the surprise. So, but ask me again in like a few months. Ask me again later. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. And I will talk to you soon. Bye!